do not adjust your device that you're watching on. That is Aston Villa 7, Liverpool 2. Probably the strangest thumbnail I've ever made for a video ever. So I'm just going to take a moment to sit back and enjoy a drink, so bear with me.
Got a can of Pepsi Max here. Let's enjoy it. It's a full fat, full sugar performance, so drink it in.
Straight in the Premier League glass, because we are not leaving this league, let me tell you. How are we all?
Yeah, I think Liverpool.
600 people here.
They turned up. They turned up to Villa Park, expected a football match, and what they got was the first level of doom. They didn't know I hit a man hardest difficulty. They thought they was going to clock it today. Nah.
What's
I hope everyone else is having a drink this evening.
I've been typing it. What's happened?
Save it for match of the day, mate. It would be a real treat.
Yeah, we'll be on last as well. Don't worry.
I'm just shell shocked.
What's just happened there? I think that's, without checking, I think that's the most I've ever seen Villa score a game, certainly in the Premier League. I remember the 6-4 against Blackburn, but 7, and against Liverpool, the champions of England. Like, let's not make any mistake. The Thiago thing, Mane, the goalkeeper, blah, blah, blah. We were very, very good there tonight. Very good against the champions.
We took our chance early on.
And the progression between pre-lockdown Villa, post-lockdown Villa, surviving on the last day, and being 3 games in the Premier League unbeaten, and including that is beating Liverpool 7-2, that is ridiculous.
Hang on. Sorry, Man United are going to make a £250 million bid for Ollie Watkins tomorrow. Can he play centre half? Facebook Live.
Can I just say as well, we're streaming this on Facebook and YouTube tonight, because obviously we want to get straight out there. There's 923 people watching, which is our biggest audience ever.
Thank you for joining in.
Thanks for tuning in at 9 o'clock on a Sunday. I hope you're all having a drink like we are.
How do you even sum it up? Because like Villa got lucky early on, right? That one goal, they got given their chance and just didn't look back. And you can't even speak. You can't even analyse. You can't even do nothing. Just say Liverpool got slapped today.
You know what I like that under previous, not just specifically Villa, you'll see other managers go 1-0 up against Liverpool in the first few minutes and think, right, good times, let's sit back a little bit, let's try and consolidate, let's shut the game down. And we just turn on the style. Ross Barkley could have scored 3 before he scored the one he did. We're just creating chances. We were cutting through them, and you can, Graham Souness, we'll get onto him, can say what he likes about the grass and Liverpool not being great. We were good, man.
Matt, I've got to say, we've got this Ross Barkley pod coming out, analysing him right, giving a bit of a deeper look. I think we've undersold him.
I know. Like we're saying, here's what we can expect from Ross Barkley. I think we all know what we can expect now.
Yeah,
a very good player.
Wow. Yeah, we've had a great day, and Matt hasn't even. Look, he's just shell shocked.
Matt, say something.
How big was the deficit before the lead? Before you felt safe?
I was safe at 4-1.
Boy,
yeah. Because I thought like Liverpool have to chuck everything at it just to get back into it. So I think Villa can just sit there and enjoy what they did, which was have a 3-man on the wing and get them through into the box. But like, I just didn't expect it. I just thought even if it finishes like 5-5 or whatever, like we've made a statement, we've had a shot, and we've had fun. But sorry, James. It got to one point when it was it? Did it go 6-1 or was it 6-2? I can't even remember. When we got 6-something, I was like, games don't finish 6-all, do they? They don't finish 7-6 to somebody with 25 minutes to go.
Like, we're done 7-2 though, do they?
Yeah, I know, but you don't see 6-6 is my point. But yeah, when it got to kind of 4-1, I was like, yeah, like the minimum we get here is a 4-all draw. And then as all the goals keep going in, you just think, yeah, happy days. If anyone's been following the Facebook page, obviously, that we're streaming on, my updates during the game have just got progressively worse. All the capitals are gone, the spellings all over the place. I put 5-1 at one point when it was 5-2. I just lost my head.
I got that carried away by it that after about an hour, I stopped slagging off Graham Souness and I started enjoying the game. That's how fantastic it was.
Like going on about Sky and Souness, obviously not to speak about stuff that's kind of irrelevant to all the joy we're feeling, but like I've got my brother and dad in the group chat, and I like just saying, "Oh, I can't wait for Sky not to give us any credit."
That's what I thought. I went off working at half time, so I didn't see the analysis, but I was thinking they're just going to say, as good as Villa were, Liverpool have been bad. Oh, Liverpool this, Liverpool that. They're missing players. But do you both agree? Do the comments agree that Villa we were still good there as well? It's not really anything to do with Liverpool being bad.
Yeah, just like I feel like it was just a mess, wasn't it? It was saying they were bad or rubbish or anything. It just takes it all away from Villa, and I feel like, that how often has a shoe been on the other foot where Villa are getting like 4 deflected goals and they just heads are down and like, what is going? We can't even save this now. Like that, this happens in football. You get your great teams that win 19 games, lose a mad one, win another 19 games, and win the league and stuff like that. And Villa have to watch on in that situation when Norwich and others are picking up like these wins, these mad wins, and we got ours, and it was big. It was big. It was headline, like it was massive in front of the whole world. So it wasn't some 3 p.m. kickoff taking, going on at the same time, and you got your Watford and Huddersfield like taking the headlines at the same time. No, this is happening like now in the world.
I know this game counts as 3 points, and we've not won a trophy, and it doesn't put us into the top 4. Well, actually, it does put us into the top 4, but not properly. We're not going to finish the season there. But it feels like a massive thing, and I don't know whether that's just because I'm in the moment and it's only just happened, but that's a massive statement victory.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love about it? I do love. There's something delicious about a wrong-footed goalkeeper, isn't there? especially when the grass is so. The grass was so high. It's a good job Barry Bannon don't play for us anymore. He would have got lost in it. So when the ball's rolling so slowly past the wrong-footed goalkeeper in that knee-high grass, I'm just looking at the man now, Ollie Watkins, beaming his head off.
Oh, talk to me about Ollie Watkins. We're all here waiting for his first Premier League goal. He gets his first Premier League goal and his first ever Premier League hat-trick on the same night against the champions, no less. Have I mentioned we were playing Liverpool?
Yeah, I'm fuming, man, because I've captained Mo Salah. I was thinking, Mo Salah's going to score 2 goals against Villa, so I'll captain him. I should have captained Ollie Watkins and let Salah get his garbage, rubbish, meaningless goals against the mighty Villa. Boost my score. I mean, I've got to speak to a lot of people in Liverpool over the next few days. So I've got to work with them. So like close heart to heart.
Enjoy it.
This is the first time as well. Like usually I've been like working in the Black Country and you get like mugged off by Wolves of West Brom. You have to go to work every day, fuming and just taking it, and then you got a Leeds fan for some reason in the Black Country just like, giving you some at work. Now today's my day. Today I'll have it.
How good was talking about? I'm half listening to Ollie Watkins rather than listening to you ramble on. But how good was his second goal? By the way,
unreal.
I thought the first was funny, but the second is just like that's where I thought the first time people might be watching neutrals and go, he's took a bit too much time on there. He looks nervous. The second, he hasn't cared, has he? He just slammed that in the top, just done him in. Like
how much does it make a difference as well? Having, and this isn't it is. I was going to say this isn't a disrespect to Wesley and Samatta and everyone else, but it is. How good is it to have a striker that looks like a proper striker and scores goals at last?
Well, we have to ask Matt because we haven't really seen one since we've been watching Villa. We've had a few here and there, but we go back to Matt's time watching the club.
What, 1977? 1977?
Yeah.
Even born then, you cheeky gets.
But you know what I mean, though. We've been looking for that missing piece, haven't we? That striker that's got great movement, left foot, right foot, header in the right place at the right time, good technique. It's that's what we've been missing.
I mean, I saw Benteke, Angel, Tammy, but because being born in '93, you've seen them all. Most Villa fans talk about Matt.
Matt wasn't born in '93.
No, but he was watching Villa and conscious at '93, where I was a babby.
Yeah, I have seen some good strikers. I've seen the likes of McNally and Dion Dublin and Dwight York. Like you say, Angel. Sure, and Withcam a little bit too early for me, but I like I don't know how to phrase it. I was going to say I like a striker who's the full package. But by that I mean, has got pace, has got strength, has got a bit of nous about him.
Pace.
I think he demonstrated all that. I think, I don't think Van Dijk would have had many games like that, especially against. He's probably thinking he's coming up against Premier League rookie. You can only even stick him away in his back pocket. But I thought Watkins outside of his goals, I thought his work rate was relentless. I thought he we've said this before, but he drifts nicely to the flanks. I know he's played as a winger before, but he can, he pulls defenders that way. And we've said before that Wesley dropped too deep to get involved. I think Watkins he makes sure that he's always a problem for at least one of the defenders. I just wish that fourth one had gone in. I was getting greedy by then when he rattled the bar towards the end.
Yeah, you kind of get into this position where you're just like absolutely fuming, aren't you? Like we're not getting 8. You're just like actually screwing worse than if it was at West Ham on the last day and we've gone down because of a mistake. Like absolutely furious at these players for not making it 8 or 9 because you've got the one opportunity to do so, right?
I'm the other way.
No, I am buzzing. I'm not saying I'm not happy. I'm just saying in that situation, there's a weird intensity that comes to it. You think like you just want to see like blood at that point.
Yeah.
You just want to see more.
For me, I'm fuming that we've conceded 2.
But we've got a comment to speak about.
Clean
Actually,
sheets record's gone.
someone said you haven't spoke about Martinez's sales, and I'm thinking we ain't come on. He was good. He was great. We know he's good. We speak about how good he is. We ain't come on a podcast to talk Villa 7, right? 7 goals. Liverpool 2, and speak about the goalkeeper making a few good saves. You know what I mean?
Well, we will quickly mention him. He was good though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was fantastic. Still, 7 goals, man. And his distribution as well, getting it out to the flanks quickly. I didn't have anything to deal with it.
Mate, is that you making an annoying noise, by the way?
Who, me?
Yeah, you touching your laptop and scratching. So I don't know what, but you're making a noise that sounds like... You're making weird noises.
I'm not making weird noises, that's my voice.
No, not your voice. You keep messing with your laptop and scratching or something. And I know what happens. Someone will tweet me and go, "Oh, can you tell Matt to stop making so much noise during the podcast?" And I'm telling you now, this is my opportunity.
Well, you can tweet me about time to get stuff because I'm not doing anything at the store.
All right, maybe it was James. I'm sorry. Carry on.
Don't just time to Google the scoreline. Just be happy. Like, if you're moaning about the technical details of production, telling you that Villa have scored 7 goals past Liverpool, you're going, "Oh, the mic don't sound too good." Log off, man.
So what's the ambition now then?
I know. This is a question I was going to ask because I said after Fulham. I mean, I said Fulham was going to be the easiest 3 points we got of the season. I think that was tonight instead. I said that it would be criminal if this side was involved in a relegation scrap this year. That we were in the bottom 3 for long periods of time. We were scrapping till the last day of the season. If that happens with this squad, that would be ridiculous. I think this podcast is not sponsored by 7-Up.
What are you trying to do, Matt? Like, for the audio listeners, what is Matt trying to do?
I know, he's just disrupting my flow. I think that you have to be pushing for top 12 as a minimum, to be honest, as an expectation of what you should be aiming for, the kind of the best of the rest. And if you can push into mid-table and into the top half, that'd be excellent. I think there's a few people commenting saying, could we slide into Europe? I don't think so, but... You never know. I mean, we're not going to, are we? If Wolves have been on the edge and haven't done it, Sheffield United last year had a great season and couldn't do it. Yeah, I don't think we'll get into Europe, but top 10, top 12 has to be the target.
Yeah, it's like this match probably, like in the grand scheme of things, might not reflect of how our season's going. But tonight, just don't care. We wait until the end of the season to look at that and reflect on all the things that are going to happen in this season. This match could mean anything. It's brilliant just to kind of bask in it for 24 hours at least before kind of worrying how it might go.
Thing is, I know that we had that good start under Paul Lambert that one year. I think we talked about this pretty recently, where we had got, was it 10 points from the first 12 or something like that? And obviously that season went on to be pretty rubbish. But it would be weird to look back in May when the season ends and us going, Christ, we started so well. Do you remember Villa 7, Liverpool 2? And now look at us, we've been relegated. Like, surely this springboards an entire season, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, you'd like to think so.
I think it might be the 5 goals that keep us up. Goal difference. You know, mate, how big's that glass, by the way, Dan?
It's a pint glass.
Looks massive.
Premier League glass?
You must have really little hands. What are you drinking anyway?
It's not sponsored. It's a Thatcher's Haze powder. It's very nice.
I'm drinking a Joker IPA, which is not sponsored either.
Nice.
But it's all right.
So what are your season expectations now? That's what I think. I think top 12 should be the aim or higher. What do you two think?
I was kind of thinking, like, I felt stupid for saying, 15th would be good for Villa. Like,
I know.
After seeing a performance like that, I'd take silly. It. But it's like, now you just feel like, what's the ceiling for this Villa team? Because, look, they haven't had much adversity this season, right? They haven't had anything gonna go against. They had a tough match against Sheffield United out of the blocks, but Fulham rolled over, and so did Liverpool. So I guess you kind of got to see how it goes to kind of like set that bar. But at the moment, the bar is very high. Like, it's extremely high. Like, I could bet on winning the title if I want. Like, that's how I'm feeling right now. But we have to see how it goes. I still think they've set a solid base. Is all I'll say.
I won a bet today. I fancied Villa to score over. The game to have over 3.5 goals. No, it was over 3.5. I thought it'd be a 2-2 or something like that. So I put £1 on, and I've won £2.50. So. That's not bad, is it?
Yeah, please bet responsibly. I think if we're going to speak about betting stories, I think my friend Dave warrants a shout out because you couldn't bet in his state in America. until very recently, and I think he's put
What state was he in? He had a few.
State of Ohio. I don't know where that is on the kind of the hangover scale, but you couldn't. I don't think he could bet there. And one of his first bets was today for Villa to win and Grealish to get a shot on target. So he
nice.
won one of his first bets. So again, please bet responsibly. But it's nice to see that Villa are paying off for more than a few people.
Did Villa get a shot? I know they scored 7. Did they get a shot on target today? Do we know?
Off the shit, yeah, it counted. It counted in their terms.
I do love a deflection. Oh, it's making me laugh.
I love 3 in the same game.
It's funny how it winds up others because like you could fairly say as a Liverpool fan, oh look at all the deflections, like this doesn't reflect reality, and fair enough, but it might not. But 7-2 deflections are funny at that point. It's just like hilarious. I know how many times it's gone against us, and people are like, how poor is that defending where he stuck his knee out and it's went over, and it happened like 3 or 4 times to Liverpool. And at that point, you're just laughing, you're just bawling out your eyes out. Like, you can't believe what's happening.
To be serious for a moment, while we've got a massive audience, how big has the turnaround been in your eyes? Obviously, we've had the pandemic, and when we used to have, I think the last time we spoke about a game in person, I might be wrong, was that Leicester game, 4-0 at the back end of last season, when we were in the office together talking about it. How different is that Aston Villa side to the one we've just seen?
Oh. I don't know, Matt. You go first. I could say a lot of things.
That was bad then.
Yeah.
We were rubbish before lockdown, and if it wasn't for the pandemic, we probably would have been on course to go down. We come back and look better defensively and save ourselves on the last day, and we start this season on absolute flames. To quote the kids,
I think Dean Smith described it as pressing the reset button when the world went into lockdown. You don't get that opportunity, do you? You don't get that opportunity to kind of have a fresh pre-season and to take a fresh, the games, even in the Premier League, even before, the restart, you don't get that chance to have a couple of weeks or a couple of months with your squad at one time. Even international breaks, you've got half of them away. So I think it was really, really important to just kind of refocus and just say a lot of those players hadn't played in the Premier League before. And if they fell out at the first attempt, might not have played. We know Jack and probably McGinn and Mings would have probably left Villa and stayed in the Premier League. But I think it was the chance to kind of take stock. And since then, Villa's business has been pretty bang on. And I know we got carried away a year ago by saying, oh, look at these a dozen exotic new names that are going to, kick Villa on. They did enough. They did enough last year, all by kind of stayed up by the width of a cigarette paper on the last day of the season. But now, we've always said this, haven't we? And I'm at risk of repeating myself again and again and again. But recruitment means, when you're a club in Villa's position, it means that the new players that you bring in are first team ready, and your fringe players from last season go back onto your bench. And that's what's happened. It's just adding that extra little bit of quality all over the park. I thought Villa, I spoke, didn't I, when we did the Barkley podcast the other day, saying that Villa's midfield was probably now as good and as varied as I've seen in a generation. That's all very well saying it, to actually see that come off against the champions. And this, even without Mane, even without Thiago, even without Alisson, Liverpool absolutely won the Premier League title at a canter last year. And Villa have gone and made mugs of them. They've gone and made absolute mugs of them. And there's going to be times when balls deflect off the back of Tyrone Mings' heels and we lose games against lesser teams in the Premier League. But to me, as much as this is 3 points that keeps Villa in the top 4 now, it shows every single one of those players that you're good enough to not only play in the Premier League, but to compete in the Premier League. Yeah. So I think it's a massive step from where we were. I would probably still take 15th.
Really?
Well, I'm a cynical old man. So I don't want to get too carried away.
Yeah, I think, there has to be a little bit of realism. We've won the first 3 games. We're going to lose at some point. We're still going to have a fairly rough season in parts, you would expect. When a run of fixtures comes along and you don't win for 3 or 4, that will happen. I think if tonight, though, if you said, right, you can finish on 15th on 39 points or whatever, you can have that now. I think I'd risk saying no to that, and I'll fancy my chances playing out the rest of the season, because I think we're better than that. I think I'd be quite disappointed with 15th now. And we might look back at this podcast with massive embarrassment come May and think, Christ, what were we thinking? We had a good start, but we've been rubbish since. But I just don't think that'll be the case. It looks like a new Villa now. Like when you were saying at the start, when did you start to feel comfortable? Previously, if you were 3-0, 3-1, or whatever it was, you'd be going, you never know. It's still Liverpool. When it got to 4, I was thinking, this is it. I think we'll be fine now, which is unusual.
You're quite naive, aren't you?
You what? Sorry.
You're quite naive, aren't you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Easily sway.
I think between those, that's like that's massive progress. If you're willing to say, if Villa finish 15th, that's up a few positions, a few more million quid, and you can say, look, you've met your target and you've moved forward with all the signings you made. If you finish higher than that, that's even more progress. So you win-win between the two of you.
What do you think? It's obviously deadline day tomorrow, and after losing to Stoke last week, after the kind of cast of understudies kind of failed to grasp their opportunity, what do you think needs to be done tomorrow? Because whereas a lot of people swayed one way and said we've got no strength in depth against Stoke, and then we've come and blitzed and blown apart Liverpool today, there's got to be a halfway house in there somewhere. Do you think? Do you still think we need? And what about you, James? Do you think we need to make any more signings tomorrow?
Well, there's people have been saying that Rashica might be on the verge of signing. After that, I'm thinking, nah, sod him off. He's took his time trying to pen the deal. Get Messi on the blower. Like everyone's seen that performance. But yeah,
Rashica would surely have to play on the right wing, wouldn't he? Now, if he did come in,
just fit him in anywhere, man. He can be like on the bench or whatever. He's got to prove himself to be in the Dean Smith's tricky villains, man. He's got to prove himself. But after today, I'm not in the right frame of mind. You know what I mean? To say like, oh, Villa need to buy this player and this player, because like every single one of them played their hearts out, like every single one of them. And I mean, when you saw Ross Barkley miss a few early chances, and you think, oh, Conor Harahan must be fuming on that bench. Like you think now, how well Harahan was in the first few games, and that's your bench player now, a guy who can come off and kind of do a few things here and there. He can finish chances, can play from set pieces. Villa are in a better position. People might be concerned about depth at the back after Courtney Horse's injury, but Villa have to take a certain amount of risk. Like we've already said it, Dan. Like you can't just lay out your wish list and get everything on it like Christmas. Like it don't work like that, does it? So I think wait and see. I think I'd like an extra striker tomorrow. I'll see what happens with Rashica. Another loan deal here or there just to patch the squad up. I think the business is done, and between Martinez, Cash, Ollie Watkins, and everyone else is coming. It's pretty impressive.
Your excitement is worrying me at the moment. Almost kind of waxing lyrical about the Aston Globetrotters going on. Do you know what I mean? Taking apart the rest of the country. Just keep it level, guys. Just keep.
It's funny actually.
We're holding that trophy on the council, on the steps of the council house. Until we've got that, the town hall, we won't be allowed there. We'll have to watch it on a massive Zoom. But until we've got that, let's just keep it on a level.
Mate, I've already started planning the open tour bus video we're going to make for the back end of next season. It's funny actually because after Fulham, we made a joke about I'm going to start etching the A on the Premier League trophy for Aston Villa, and then we did a live stream after Stoke that didn't go onto the podcast. And I was like, well, our 100% record had to come to an end at some point. We've got to let the rest of English football catch up with Villa, seeing as how well we've started. After that game, I did not expect one bit what happened tonight, and nobody would expect tonight, even just for Villa to win. A lot of people would have said, oh, well, it's Liverpool, it's probably going to be really difficult. We've lost a bit of momentum losing to Stoke. I don't really fancy our chances against Liverpool. It's Liverpool. There's no shame in saying I think Villa might lose here. So even just to predict Villa to win, people, as much as we're all Villa fans here and biased, a realistic prediction would have been that Liverpool are going to come here tonight, turn on the style and beat us. So to just beat them anyway is a massive achievement. To do it in the manner that we did, it's mind blowing. Like I say, I've never seen anything like that, and it should, in theory, set up the rest of the season. Now that if we have a couple of bad games, surely the coaching staff can go, look, you did this to Liverpool. This is what you're capable of. Change it and go out and improve yourselves, because we know how good you are. It's not like we've kind of fluked a couple of results here and there. We've proved in the games we've had so far that we can be a good side here. So a little blip here and there means that they can look back and go, look, we know what you're capable of. Sort yourselves out.
Yeah, I feel like there's a certain amount of credit, like not just Dean Smith, but like the leaders in the squad need as well, and the coaches, and some of the bigger personalities in the team need. Because it hasn't been funny. After the Carabao Cup final and getting slapped by Leicester, people were the criticism Dean Smith got was right. People being really harsh, and that happened over lockdown. Even when you saw like an evolved Villa team kind of step up, and that people were saying there's no plan B. There was very clearly a plan B because they came out in a completely different manner. Yeah. Now the mentalities have taken a step up, and that's not just them going, "Oh, you know what? I might play good now." It's levels of coaching and the team Dean Smith's assembled, mentality, that the democratic approach he takes. He trusts these players, and that trust is now it's paying. It looks like it's paying off. So, bravo and full credit. Let's see where we can go with this. But it's not to say that he's safe from any criticism or anything like that, because managers aren't. They're always in the face of the gun barrel, aren't they, when it comes to sackings? But like, gotta give him full credit. Maybe not like a tactical masterclass today. It was all momentum, and we took our chances well. But gotta give him credit for the turnaround.
So what's you're a little bit younger than me. In fact, if you add both of you together, you probably get around my age. What's the biggest score on you've seen Villa when Villa spanked Sunderland 6 a couple of years ago?
Might be that Wickham League Cup match, and it might have been 8. I don't know.
I don't remember that. I said the 6-4 earlier against Blackburn is the biggest I can remember in terms of goals in a game, being 10 goals in that game. There's only the 9 tonight. Can't have it all.
I remember Villa spanking Everton 6-2. David Platt scored a couple, I think, and Gordon Cowans. I think Ian Olney potentially. And I remember Villa beating Wimbledon 7-1 at Villa Park. I think Tommy Johnson might have got a hat-trick, although somebody will probably correct me. But that wasn't beating the reigning champions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you think the opposition does come into it? Will Dean Smith and the coaching staff think of it like that it's extra good? I'm sure there was a better term than that, but it's extra good because it was against Liverpool, or is it just, it's Premier League opposition, we have to treat everybody the same? 7-2 is good against anyone.
I think Dean Smith and the coaching staff, it's international right now, so I think they'll be about five Jaegers deep by now. I'll be absolutely battered. I'll be having 7 shots each.
A few people said 8-3 Wickham, 5-5 Forest, 7-1 Wimbledon.
The 8-3 Wickham's the one I think. Remember where I was? It was because it weren't on TV or anything, or like you didn't even have it on like radio. You had to wait until the paper come out the next day. Like that, for those like you didn't get like, the old. Yeah, but it's like we're in that generation where we had the before times and now the streaming times where we just landed spotting it. So you didn't have like the Carabao Cup streaming platform or anything, did you? So you just had to go, Villa won 8-3. Oh, that was a thing like we've never seen.
Well, on teletext, refresh.
Yeah.
There's
been a lot of comments, and I'm not going to put any up on screen because there's a lot to choose from. Talking about Trezeguet, I think we spoke about him a little bit after Fulham, and we said, look, we've been critical of Trezeguet in the past, very openly on the podcast at the back end of last year. I think I possibly said at one point I wouldn't be that bothered if he didn't play for Villa ever again. Hold my hands up. He's been very good so far this season, but I think that's just the nature of competition. He's got Bertrand Traoré breathing down his neck. He's got informed players playing around him, possibly Rashica or somebody else coming in. That if that doesn't make you improve, you shouldn't be playing football.
Yeah,
I think it's the human embodiment. You know that meme when that fella's looking over his shoulder at the goal.
Yeah.
I think it's that. I think Trezeguet thinks, I've got some competition now. That to really up my game. Do you know what I mean? Probably brushing his teeth 10 times a day, doing his hair with a new kind of gel. Whatever you kids do today before you go on one of your Tinder dates. So I think it's that, isn't it? It just. I don't think he's had any competition, really, has he? Him and El Ghazi was, kind of...
Well, they were both playing, weren't they, at times?
But like I said, I think I've been massively harsh on Trezeguet. I still don't think that come 3 or 4 months from now, I don't think he'll be starting. I think Traoré, over time, will kind of prove his place in there. But fair play to him.
That's the noise, by the way. Whatever you just did then, that's the noise that was annoying.
He's just laughing. He's swiping right on Trezeguet.
What is it?
When you move your laptop on your jeans or something, it's making noise.
What can I say? I'm electric. I've got a load of friction going on.
Sit still. Okay, carry on. Sorry.
172, and you want to sit still?
I know. I'm just annoying. It's annoying me. I'm a
what are we talking about?
Trezeguet.
Are there any positions in that team, not after a 7-2 victory, but what positions are really up for grabs now? That's the only one, isn't it?
Left back, maybe.
Yeah, and that's only because that's
been picky for
that's been like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm being very picky.
Yeah.
Left back. In an ideal world, if I could click my fingers and get if I was on Football Manager, I'd be thinking, I quite fancy a left back. That's
Target
like-
go
Yeah,
to?
it's like choose what
Target
takeaway
was
you want.
tonight.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Target tonight, but I think if you were talking about an ultimate 11, I think left back can be improved and winger could be improved, but the rest of it, for where Villa are in the table and our budget and stuff like that, some people might argue centre back, but I don't think you'll get a better midfield unless you're spending 50, 60 million on players. Forwards, absolutely fine. I think Ollie Watkins is already worth 40 million plus already after his Premier League showings. That's 5 goals now in this in all competitions. I think 2 in the cups and then 3 tonight. Grealish obviously would be worth a fortune. So unless you're spending huge money, you're not going to make massive improvements. And if you spend 50 million on a new midfielder, is he going to be a bigger difference between him and Douglas Luiz or whoever it is you're replacing? Likewise with centre back, if you spend 40 million on a centre back, how much better is he going to be than Tyrone Mings? So I think you can make some decent gains at left back. Because I don't think Target's amazing. If you spent 20 million on a left back, I think that will be a decent improvement. And like I say, a winger, but the rest of it, I'm very content with the side that Villa and Dean Smith have built.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks now. 2 weeks, and you mentioned that that Leicester match just before lockdown was the one that really kind of made us fearing the worst. I think I'm right in saying that it's Leicester away.
Yeah.
When we restart, isn't it, again?
Yes, I believe so.
You know, they've had a bit of a shock result today. Let me just... Dan, have you not got the Premier League table you can stick up there just so we can kind of gloat some more?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to say is the loss is eventually coming,
I mean,
but that shouldn't derail the whole thing.
It's a Champions League battle against us and Leicester next time out.
Man, if that table's got to finish that way, what a glorious season that'll be.
I mean, I am a traditionalist at this point, but seeing Everton and Villa right up there is pleasing. I'm a big fan of that. I'm happy for Everton.
Yeah, I might want to get Spurs or Leeds in that top 4. Just give it a bit of diversity, give them a chance. But man, the only thing I'll be unhappy there is Villa 3 points off that title place, and that's only because I'm missing the game.
There's still only 2 sides with a 100% Premier League record, and we've got a game in hand over Everton.
Yeah, we've played the game we thought was a free hit. We won 7-2, so happy days.
We've talked about, I think again after Fulham, we'd said, right, that's 6 points done, 34 to go to be safe. I'll still stand by that for the meantime, as much as I still think Villa will be far and away above relegation. Well, in terms of positions, 50 points might get you 10th. The gap between 10th and relegation might not be a lot, but in terms of positions, I think we will be nowhere near that bottom 3. So until we get to 40, that will still be the target for me. So that's 9 points now, 31 more to go. And if you're looking towards that bottom end of the table, we've played 3. The other side's down there played 4, and they're still yet to get off the mark. So we've already got a 9-point gap on these sides down the bottom. So if things do go bad and we lose the next 3, we're still going to be around mid-table-ish because of the good start that we've had. But having said all that, we shouldn't be looking. I don't want to be scrolling down this far on these podcasts in future. I don't want to be looking at these down here and seeing Villa floating around 16th, 17th all season when we've played 15, 20 games. I want to be looking around here for the whole season, or better, to be honest, because I'm sick of going that far down.
Without getting too carried away, like if Villa double that after the international break and end up on 18 points, which I guess is somewhat realistic if we're speaking directly after this Liverpool 7-2, you've already beaten like the 2016 relegation points total, and you're already like over halfway to last season's point total within 2 international breaks. Sorry, so this momentum that we're on, and I know it doesn't last forever, and you kind of have to ride the wave in terms of the Premier League. It's a fantastic feeling, like for us to be in this first stage of the Premier League. I mean, now, again, not to get carried away, but how can you not get carried away after a 7-2?
And you look at those fixtures, and now you look at it again. When you saw Liverpool and Leicester, you thought, there's 2 tricky games there. You look at that now, I think Leicester, maybe they can be got at. Leeds is a freak game. That could be a 4-4 or a 3-0 or a 5-1 or anything that game could be. And then Southampton and Brighton, yes, both been good, but 3 games at home there in a row. I know home games aren't what they used to be, but still, I look at those 4 games there and I'm thinking 7 points at least, to be honest. I think we're capable of.
It took Villa 9 matches to get to 9 points last season.
Wow.
So that gives you a bit of See, we do our homework occasionally. That gives you a bit of context.
So we're 6 games ahead of schedule, effectively.
Yeah.
We could lose the next 6 and be level pegging where we were last year. That'd be a
let's
disaster.
not, no way.
That's incredible to think, though, isn't it? Like,
that's what I mean, yeah.
How happy we were with 9 points at that stage last season, going, oh, yeah, we're getting there now. We're building something. We're already there. Like, we've been 3 games. And honestly, bar Sheffield United, which was a bit of a weird one because of the sending off, they've been 3 of the easiest games we could have possibly had. Even if you're going into looking ahead at Sheffield United, you might think it was going to be tough. Fulham, you might have thought they're going to play with confidence. They could get a surprise result there. They could do a soon to get the 3 points they need to truly kick off their season. And then you look at Liverpool and you think, absolutely no chance. There's no chance.
Yeah, on paper, you look at those games before they're playing and think, well, Sheffield United were good last year, so if they have a good season, that could be difficult. You know, Chris Wilder sets them up well, etc. Fulham, newly promoted, Mitrovic. You know, if they get an early goal, they could do well there. Liverpool, obviously champions, that'll be difficult. And you think, in hindsight, you look back and think, well, those 3 games might be difficult. 9 points and battered Liverpool in the process. That's unreal.
Can I mention the elephant in the room? And that's not me, by the way, trying to cram into a 1996 football top that's 3 sizes too small.
Go on.
Do you think, and this is good, I'm going to get pelters by saying this in the comments, but Villa fans not being there, is that a help in any way, or is it just a coincidence?
Ooh, is this you bullying the Villa fans saying that we run the team down? Is this what you're saying?
It's kind of like
just negative mail, innit? You know, Birmingham mail, typical negative rag. It's that kind of thing.
It's like, I guess it's like the great equaliser, isn't it? Because you look at probably some of the teams playing the higher line, like Liverpool and Southampton, and they would have benefited massively from that high energy football. Kind of, that's what fans love to see, and they back them doing that. And without fans there, it's a bit difficult, isn't it? It's like they play the high line, get done over, and there's no one screaming, there's no energy. So I do think it has some effect. It's like some kind of great equaliser. But I feel like the real downside is, like, the really bittersweet thing about tonight is it wasn't the most, like, the way you're feeling now isn't the highest level of enjoyment you'll have.
Imagine being there.
Because if you were there, that would have been one of the greatest Villa. It is one of the greatest Villa games of all time. But there's also that asterisk on it that's saying that you didn't see it, you weren't there. And I know we have like international fans who do have to deal with that asterisk because they can't possibly get to the stadium week in and week out. But we're all feeling that now, and it's a very real absence that it does hurt in a weird way.
There's a few people saying that it takes some pressure off the Villa players that there's no crowd there. I think it works both ways. I think if you're having a bit of an average performance, you're missing that crowd there to lift you. But then you can say, well, you know, how many times have you seen a sideways pass that is irrelevant really, but gets a few grumbles here and there? All that kind of thing is gone now. And I'm not just talking specifically Villa, I'm talking across the board. So I think some players will react to it differently even still. I saw a great tweet during the game saying that it doesn't feel like competitive Premier League football still. The amount of goals that we're seeing now, they all feel like weird exhibition charity games, and we're just all having a fun kickabout. And I think that suits some players, like people like Grealish, McGinn, even Watkins tonight, that it is almost light-hearted. Oh yeah, it's the champions, but it kind of isn't really, because we're just going to have fun and toy with them a little bit. So I think some players will thrive on the fact that they can kind of have no pressure on them, but some players might need that. We talked about El Ghazi, didn't we, in before Project Restart, saying he could be a player that reacts to the crowd not being there in a good way, there being no pressure on him, and he can be a bit more relaxed, but that wasn't the case. He looks like he struggles without a crowd, so I don't think you can put too much weight on it, but it'll be having an impact on some players for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what worries me about it? You know, it was always said, wasn't it? Football's nothing without the fans being there, and you know it won't survive. And the top flight has shown that it can survive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the top flight can. Yeah.
I just find. Listen, I know that when we're allowed to, and when it's safe to do so, we'll all be allowed back in. But it's just, I think it's that. I think it's kind of what is it from the quoted pizza adverts? You know, fear of missing out. Is it?
FOMO.
Yeah, I don't think the pizza advert invented that, Matt. I think you're giving him far too much credit there.
All right, then, Jomo. There ain't no joy in missing out, though, is there? Because we still enjoyed it, but we still would rather be there.
Yeah,
and I think it's kind of. I've waited yonks for Villa to beat Arsenal, and they beat Villa Park, and they beat Arsenal at the back end of the season. It was brilliant, and it was such an important result. But we weren't there. I know that makes me sound like a sport brat after we've just battered the champions, but I kind of, you know, I'd have rather been in the Holt End or in the Trinity and we'd have won 1-0 than not being there and we'd have won 7-2.
Oh, you see, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think I'd rather have just seen us humiliate the champions 7-2 than be there and scrape a 1-0 at Villa Park. Maybe I'm in the minority there, 'cause being there is obviously amazing. I'd much rather be there. But talking about the scorelines, something like this doesn't happen at all.
Yeah.
I think it's nice that
beating the champions 1-0 at Villa Park, though.
Yeah, but that's not in terms of just forget it being Villa for a sec. Just the wider football, somebody will beat the champions of a league 1-0 at some point. That's a thing that will happen. People don't beat the champions of a league 7-2 ever. I wonder. I've not checked the stats. You'll be surprised to learn. But I'm at risk of sounding stupid here. But
Never.
Have a league title holding league reigning champions of a league ever had a bigger defeat as that before in the Premier League?
Can you answer that for us?
When was it when Man City slapped United? That must have been after United
was
title
6-2,
win.
wasn't it? Yeah,
that was high. But like these things do happen, but not for Villa. Like last season, Liverpool lost how many games? They must have lost 1 or 2 games. Someone benefited. Someone beat that team on that rampage. Someone benefited, and it weren't Villa. So all I care about is 7-2 is fine, even if it was a 1, whatever. Villa benefited from that off day that every so often that occurs to these like genuine elite teams. The only thing I'm unhappy about is why can't it be like boxing or wrestling? When you batter the champion, you get to be the champion. And dealing with this league table, I don't care about averages. I've been good over 38 games. If it was averages, give us a 158 game season like baseball, whatever. If you beat the champion, you should be the champion. I will be, looking into that. That's how it should work.
I mean, going back to the being at the stadium thing, just remember how much fondness we put on that Everton game from last year towards the start of the season. A night game, a Merseyside game, and winning it. I don't know what the score was. Was it 2-1 or 3-1? And that being a great memory and something that we look back for the whole season going, how good was that night at Villa Park? How good was the atmosphere? How good were we as a side that day? So, yeah, of course, being there and seeing us beat Liverpool 1-0, 2-1, whatever, would have been amazing. But I think just because of the fact it's such a freak result, I don't mind not being there. Obviously, I would like to be there. But what I'm saying is, if you would give me the option of beating them 1-0 and I could go, or beating them 7-2, but I have to watch it on TV, I'd pick the 7-2.
What are people saying in the comments?
I'm just looking. I've went back to Twitter now.
Nothing relevant. They're just talking about. There's just a lot of fans in here that aren't Villa fans, basically.
It has been a week online, hasn't it? There has been a lot of things happen over the past, from Villa winning on Monday to going out in the Carabao Cup. There's been a lot to drink in, and it has been a wild week online. So this is just the latest day, and even across the world, even with things unrelated to football, it has been a wild week. Villa just topping it off now, and on to hopefully Jack Grealish getting a few hat tricks, 9 goals he'll come back with. Our international break will be on a high, and I think not less Dominic Calvert-Lewin being in the England squad. Fair play to him. They should be getting that call up for Ollie Watkins emergency right now.
Here's a question for you. I know obviously Ash will have done player ratings, and I haven't seen them. What would you give players today? And I don't mean to go through one by one and rate them all, but do they all just get 10 out of 10s, or is it not as easy as that? Is there such thing as everyone getting a 10 out of 10?
I don't know.
I don't think we were good, right? And we played very well, but I don't know what constitutes a 10 out of 10. Was Ollie Watkins a 10 out of 10 performance?
You would, because I haven't had the privilege of covering a game where anyone would have scored over 6. So you would have surely covered a game where you've given a few 10s, right?
Just trying to think. I can't think I've given, mate. I'm hard to please. I can't think I've given many 10s. I give Brad Goosen a 10 once when he won at Sunderland. He saved about 4 penalties, I think, in a shootout and in normal time. I'm just trying to Google some of my player ratings to see if they've still been, unless they've been expunged from the internet.
So
the lowest rating Ash gave was a 7, and that was to Almo and Nakamba. Everyone else got 10. There's a few 10s. There's Grealish, McGinn, Mings, and Watkins, who got 10s. So everyone else is on 8s or 9s, it reflects a very obviously good performance.
And they got the game, don't they? The ones who got less than 10.
To be fair, people act like 7's rubbish, but like if 5 is the middle between 1 and 5 is like, oh, you did as expected, right? It should be. I think like people treat it like football major. If if you played 5, you're getting hooked at half time. You're getting hooked before half time if you're on a 5. Like 5's like average, isn't it? So 7's still good, like good enough, like you'd want 7's.
See, I think with Jack specifically, he's got, was it two assists and a goal? 2 goals and an assist? 2 goals, 2 assists? Does anyone know what it actually was? He scored 2, didn't he? Does anyone know how many assists he got?
Did he get given that goal? That
I don't think any of them went down as own goals, so I think they were all on target.
I'll have a quick look whilst we're
we can cut this out of the podcast after. We'll just Facebook Live. We'll just have to suffer while we do the research on air.
Grealish got 3 assists.
3 assists. Jesus. Okay, so he got 2 goals and 3 assists, right? And I still don't think that was a 10 out of 10 Jack Grealish.
But I'll tell you one thing. Carahan was on the pitch 15 minutes and he made 3 chances, which is the second highest in the entire team. Bar John McGinn, he made 4. So the whole team were having fun today. The whole team were thriving. So it was again good to see that reflected across the defence, the goalkeeper. Of course Trezeguet, who's coming for criticism as well. Just good to see like that solid performance across the board, and then a few people really excelling, like your Mings, McGinn, Grealish, and Watkins. Just a few names who really excelled. So it's rare you can speak about those things with Villa.
Yeah, I think 2 goals and 3 assists is unbelievable for Jack. Absolutely unbelievable. We all know how good he is. But I think in terms of his 90 minutes performance, I think he can be better than that. And I know what his output is, but I'm just saying his ceiling is so high for his potential and his ability. I think he can perform to a better standard consistently through a game and get a higher score out of 10. Despite how good his stats were tonight, I just think it's maybe it's not about his performance, and less so that I feel like we're not relying on him as much as we did before. Like last year, it was Jack Grealish FC, wasn't it? At times, it was he had to do Jack Grealish had to play well for us to win, basically. And so far, every game, I've always felt, despite tonight's stats that he's put out, he's still not been at his best yet, and we've been very good in every game, and obviously tonight has happened. So when Jack Grealish finally does start putting in 10 out of 10 performances, we can afford to not be as good elsewhere because we're not relying on him at the moment, which is something that we've been doing for the last 2 or 3 seasons. If Jack Grealish gets marked out of the game or whatever, or fouled out of the game, Villa are suffering. Whereas these days, or this season so far, in the small sample size we've got, if Jack Grealish isn't a 10 out of 10, we can still score 7 goals against Liverpool. That's mental.
Yeah, that's the point of progression, though, isn't it? Like last season and the season before, it was like Jack Grealish was a 16-year-old playing amongst a bunch of under 9s. Now he's like a 16-year-old playing amongst a bunch of under 14s, isn't he? So, do you know what I mean? That's why Jack Grealish was convinced to stay, because he was sold a dream that Villa were going to try and bring him a better standard of player to help him fulfil his ambitions. Now, when Sawiras and Edens and Christian Purslow told Jack Grealish, a month ago that he's going to get Villa in the top 4, I don't think
that noise is doing my head in. I'm sorry. What are you doing?
What do you mean? I'm going. I've had enough. I feel like
it's so annoying. What is it?
Voice?
No, it's not your voice. James knows what I'm talking about. He just laughed when you made that noise.
Yeah,
he's too scared to say anything.
Fondling the laptop a bit much.
Well, I'm out of here.
Just keep your hands still, mate. Keep your hands still.
Anyway, speaking of Ross Barkley, you look at when we're saying about Grealish and him kind of being the main guy carrying the team, you got someone like Ross Barkley in the team who I feel like gets a bit forgotten because he emerged in that weird era of Premier League football, that kind of in-between era where no one really cares anymore. From 2013 to 2018, I really made a name for himself, and people have kicked on massively since then. He's kind of went to Chelsea, and it hasn't really worked out for him. But you forget that this is Ross Barkley when Jack Grealish was younger and not really breaking through at Villa, and people going, when he was kind of getting flogged to Middlesbrough, remember that? That was like an odd day, and people were like, move on from him, sell him. And then you got Ross Barkley making a name for himself in the Premier League and kicking on. You've got a player of that quality now. backing Grealish
Yeah.
at Villa. So it just goes to show the massive strides they've made, and not just him, but people like John McGinn, like just emerging and developing so well and so beautifully at Aston Villa. And now you've brought in Ross Barkley on loan, and it just feels like almost an unreal situation to be in, where now Grealish can't be double marked in the game because you've got runners from midfield. And I know Harahan has benefited from that, but you'll get players like Traore and Watkins and Trezeguet and whomever else we saw benefiting from that, not least Ross Barkley, who you can't ignore.
Can we talk about the fact that we've seen a different formation as well tonight?
I didn't even realise.
Barkley was basically playing as a 10.
Yeah, he switched.
We're talking about Barkley playing in the left side of a midfield three and running from deep. He was as far forward as anyone a lot of the time.
They switched it with. It looks like they switched it with McGinn, which is he was doing that, wasn't he? Not maybe to
the same extent though.
Yeah,
I think that was more like McGinn is playing midfield but can roam forward a bit. This felt like a very more not rigid, but he was definitely the most furthest advanced from those midfield three, and he was right off Watkins all the time, interchange with Jack Grealish. Just movement, being creative, and that's what Villa have lacked, and some pace as well.
Got some physicality.
Do you think he was playing as a 10 though, or do you just think he naturally plays that high anyway?
Maybe it's just because we were so attacking the whole game that he found himself further forward. But to me, it felt like Douglas Luiz and John McGinn were a little bit further back than Barkley was always further forward. He was always the one running off the line towards Watkins. I might be wrong. Maybe I've watched the game differently, and like I say, just because we were attacking so much, he was always further forward. But he felt like a solid number 10. Like you sit up there and run off the striker.
To see how it develops, because I think we got mentioned it on the Ross Barkley special pod, which has now been just completely destroyed by his performance today. But the expectation was McGinn would be allowed to do his thing because he does it very well, and Ross Barkley would be a bit more physical, a bit more of an influence, like physically on the match than Haran. And they both got their qualities, they both got their exceptional qualities, but Ross Barkley's just that much different and that more experience at the highest level, and he's got the bars maybe higher. But he completely flipped the script, right? If we're looking at him driving forward, it's almost like Villa taking a bit more of a risk with it and just playing for fun, almost playing for sport, which I guess what you should do, but there's so much at stake. But yeah, wonderful to just see them play with like this complete, it's like careless in the best way. They didn't care about losing, they just went for it.
And that's what we're crying out for. I know you can't play like that in every game.
But that's what
doesn't always work, but yeah, they noticed an opportunity, got the early goal against Liverpool because they're faffing about at the back, and thought, yeah, let's pounce, let's try and score a couple of goals, let's write the game off, rather than thinking, 1-0, let's sit back. And that's what we want. We want attacking football. We want Dean Smith to take it to the best in this league, and that's what we've seen tonight. So I don't know how anyone can't be encouraged by what we've seen tonight. And obviously we might all be at risk of getting ahead of ourselves, and if we lose the next three, I'm sure we'll be on here going, oh God, all right, here we go again. But right now, as of the 4th of October, you have to be delighted with Villa's start so far.
Absolutely. Any more, Matt?
I'm done, I'm knackered.
It is tiring.
We can let him go.
At least we've got a short day tomorrow.
Oh, it's deadline day, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot to talk about then as well. It just never stops.
Well, we'll do a podcast much in the same manner that we did in the January deadline. We'll do something as the window shuts, but it doesn't really shut, does it? Because you can still do deals for another 10 days or something domestically.
Yeah,
with the EFL.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like deadline day part 1 kind of thing. But we'll do a little podcast to assess our transfer window so far. But spoiler alert, I'm pretty happy with it. So there we go. Thank you to the still 700 people that are watching us live as of now, which is still, even 700 is our biggest audience ever, but we did break the 1,000 viewer mark at one point. So thank you everyone who tuned in live this evening on Facebook and our YouTube channel, Claret and Blue. If you're listening to this after the fact on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, do leave us a review or a comment. Stop trying to make me laugh while I'm doing my outro for the podcast.
Oh, I get it. 7
up. Okay, yeah, I didn't realise.
What's he doing, man? Like, what are you trying to shove? You not sugar-free lemon lime soft drink on air, man. Why are you doing this?
I thought you just bought a drink on because I bought a drink on and you were just showing us.
Yeah, we've got a lot of audio-only listeners that won't have cared anyway, Matt. So well done.
Yeah, I get it now. All right, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, like I say, please do leave us a review on iTunes or tweet us at Claret Blue Pod. Get involved. We love hearing your thoughts and feedback. I'm sure everyone else is still in disbelief that what's happened this evening. It almost feels a little bit like a dream. So we'll see if this actually is a dream or not. If this podcast is still out there by tomorrow morning. A few people were getting the 7-Up jokes. See, I don't think anyone else got it either, to be honest. There's only a few people laughing now.
Holding up like 7-Up, like really silly. Like, someone take this off me. It's in the way.
I'm clearly on a superior intellectual plane to you and all of our viewers, Donald. You know, what can I say?
Yeah, maybe that is that. So, yes, thank you both for jumping on this podcast with me this evening. We did say earlier, should we just do about half an hour tonight after the game? But once we were 4-0 up at one point or whatever it was like, no, we've got to do a proper episode and milk it. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Like I say, we'll be back tomorrow throughout the day with updates if Villa sign anyone or let anyone go. And obviously James has mentioned our Barkley episode where we look at what Barkley can bring to the Villa side, which I think we all know what he can offer now, but still it is a very good watch. So stay tuned for that on probably Tuesday. And yes, thank you very much. Up the Villa, and we'll see you again soon.
Goodbye. The Villa.
Bye.
Is that 7?
That's 7.